Yes, good afternoon. This is Sir J.K.M from Sir J.K.M Sports, Sir J.K Mbaha, and this is the world of absolute football, and particularly this is our new episode or podcast that we have launched, which is called Home and Away. So what do we look at home and away? We look at signings, we look at burning issues around the Namibian football at home and as well away. So today I want us to speak about Peter Shalulile. This is what we are going to speak about today. Peter Shalulile. Peter Shalulile is in the news, as we know that at the end of the season, his contract with Mamelodi Sundowns came to an end. But when they came back from the Club World Cup, the club managed to convince him to sign a new contract. But there's a lot of developments around that story. There's a lot of issues that I want to speak about. I want to address his agent. I want to address Peter Shalulile himself as a player, because when we speak about Peter Shalulile, we are talking about an elite player, a player that is very big when it comes to African football. We are not just speaking about South African football. We are not just speaking about the PSL, the Betway League, but we are speaking about Africa as a whole. We're speaking about the national team playing for the Brave Warriors, speaking about the continent CAF football. Peter Shalulile have excelled to a level that he is now. Also, the football world are looking at him. And the question that I have is, how did Peter Shalulile sign a new contract? The agent of Peter Shalulile knew very well that this player is making headlines. He made headlines in the Arab world. He made headlines in Africa, in Morocco, in Algeria, in Egypt. This guy is going around in newspapers, being written about, being spoken about. Even the Club World Cup, everyone was speaking about Peter Shalulile, that why is Peter Shalulile not playing for Mamelodi Sundowns? Or why is Cardoso, the head coach of Mamelodi Sundowns, sidelining Peter Shalulile? Why was Peter Shalulile sidelined for Mamelodi Sundowns at the Club World Cup? So he made a lot of headlines. But then he came back to South Africa. He came back to the team and he signed a new contract. So does it mean that Peter Shalulile and his agent did not receive offers? I would disagree on that one. So why did Peter Shalulile sign a 2-year contract with Mamelodi Sundowns? I'll tell you the truth. Mamelodi Sundowns were winners in this deal. What did they do? So what they did, they created a vacuum. And that vacuum was a desperation. They created a desperate mode for both Peter Shalulile and his agent. So what do clubs do? Clubs, when a player is a free agent, because at the end of the season, Peter Shalulile became a free agent. So what happens then? If a player becomes a free agent, it means that he can sign for any player of any team of his choice. And what happens at that deal? So what happens at the deal is him and the agent will pocket the signing fees themselves. It will be like their bonus. It will be like their jackpot. But then Mamelodi Sundowns knew very well that they wanted to sell Peter Shalulile. So how do you sell a player that is a free agent, but yet he is with you? That's a two-sided sword, meaning that it was pricking the team, it was pricking the player. But then Mamelodi Sundowns were very wise. What they did is they created uncertainty. Peter Shalulile became very uncertain with his future, like, okay, the season is coming to an end. The team is not renewing the contract. What is happening? He began to question his agent. The agent began to panic. And what they did, they went into negotiation with the club. They started speaking, but the club at the back of their mind, they knew that this player is making headlines and we want to sell him. So what do we do if we want to sell a player that is running out of the contract? Let us force him to sign a new contract. Or not force, rather, let us lure him to sign a new contract. And they did succeed in that regard. Peter Shalulile signed a new contract, 2 years. But now, Mamelodi Sundowns want to sell Peter Shalulile. That's the funny part. This is a big player making headlines across Africa, into the Middle East, sign a new contract, then boom, he's on sale. Do you want to tell me that he was not on sale before he renewed the contract? Or Mamelodi Sundowns did not know that they wanted to get rid of him? They did. They knew. That's why they had to force him to sign a contract that will make him sellable. Let me use that word. It's not an English word, but I will use it. That is to say that they wanted to make him, they wanted to be able to sell him while he was running into, or he was running out of contract to become a free agent, that they could not sell him once he was a free agent. So, what is happening around Peter Shalulile? Esperance of Tunisia want the Namibian talisman. So, Mamelodi Sundowns is telling them that the player is under contract. He just renewed his contract 2 years. So, in that regard, if you want his services, we are selling him. We have a selling price for him. And guess how much is the selling price? Mamelodi Sundowns is asking for 16 million rand. 16 million rand. That is equivalent to Namibian 16 million Namibian dollars as well. So, what are Esperance saying? Esperance from Tunisia, they are saying, no, the player is too expensive. Can you give him to us for 13 million? And because Peter Shalulile also has an issue at Mamelodi Sundowns that Cardoso doesn't want to play him, so the player is as well desperate to leave the club. He wants to leave Mamelodi Sundowns. He wants to go to Esperanza because they want him and they will use him there. But the team doesn't want to sell him to the price that the other club is willing to buy him. So, what is the dilemma? What should be done? The only way for Peter Shalulile to leave Sundowns is when Sundowns agrees to sell him for a cheaper price. But are Sundowns willing? Sundowns are not willing to sell for a cheaper price. But Esperanza, are they willing to increase the price to the 16 million that Mamelodi Sundowns is asking them to? So the dilemma stands there. So then what happens? Esperanza are also desperate. They want this player because they cannot delay any longer, because Peter Shalulile now, very soon the age won't be on his side. So Esperanza want him as soon as possible, so that the 2 years at least they will have his services before he can call it a game. But Mamelodi Sundowns don't want to lower the price that the player should go. The issue is the team wants the player, but the coach does not want the player. Peter Shalulile is not in Cardoso's plans. We all know that's honest truth that we can say as we are speaking now, that he's not wanted by the coach, but the team want him. He has been there for long yet. And also, he's about to break the Nomvete's high goal scoring record. Just left with 2 goals, and that is done. But also, if they don't want him to break that record, they will have to let him go. And that is out of South Africa. And also the other thing was, Peter Shalulile was ready to sign for Orlando Pirates. Peter Shalulile was ready to sign for Kaizer Chiefs. And also, Mamelodi Sundowns did not want that to happen. So they had to pen him down. They had to tie him down with a 2-year deal, contract renewal. There's a lot of dilemmas, scenarios around Peter Shalulile's contract. But that is all from our side in regard to Peter Shalulile here at home and Away with Sir J.K.M Sports Podcast. So, going next, we want to, just maybe for 2 minutes or 3 minutes, we want to look into the Brave Warriors and the head coach, Colin Benjamin. So what happened is Colin Benjamin is training players, which, quote unquote, supposed to be the national team. But then he's calling that training unofficial. So what does it mean for a contract to be unofficial? The contract to be unofficial means, or the training or the camp, whatever that is, it means that the players will not be paid because they are not on a national duty, quote unquote. So I'm calling it as like someone calling his friends just to chill. They are chilling. I will not call that a training because it's unofficial as they are saying it, because they don't want to pay the players for the time being that they are rendering services to the national team, national Brave Warriors team. But the funny thing is that, so how did he get these players? Because players should be called and the nation should know that, no, these players are on national duty. But he's having a squad. But those guys are not on national duty. Meaning NFA doesn't want to pay those players. But let's not forget, Colin Benjamin is at work. He's being paid. He's on the payroll of NFA. He's getting money every month. But the players that are there are not going to be paid. They're training for mahala, as we say. They're training for free, because NFA does not want to pay these players. If they wanted to pay the players, they were supposed to call an official camp to be announced nationally, everyone to know that, okay, the boys are now in camp. They are training for the upcoming World Cup qualifiers, or whatever the games are, or friendlies if there are any. But then the guys are in camp and it's titled unofficial, meaning they are not going to be paid. But many people are arguing with me saying that, no, the players are being paid. But if you are paying the players, why call it an unofficial camp? Why is titled unofficial camp if the players are going to be paid? Please make sure, leave your comments below, and also let us know what stories you want us to cover. We'll be happy to cover those stories for you. And from us, the world of football, the world of absolute football with Sir J.K Mbaha, and also the newly launched podcast that is The Home and Away. See you next time.